3 days ago, my partner, who is 32 years old, his mother and I, who is 25 years old, we've been together for 8 years on and off. We're on our way to his sister's house for her daughter's birthday. Just the night before, my partner and I had an argument about kids. Nothing new lately, he wants one, and we've been trying for a few months now. Anyway, I said we need to see a doctor. He believes that we're both healthy and young, and if anything, then we're doing something wrong. I was already exhausted from work and wanted to have some rest, so I didn't argue much, which only made him even angrier. I sat up and let him have his moment, then slept. The next day, we went to pick up his mother. I tried to start a conversation, but he just kept nodding. Now with his mom with us in the car, I tried my best to lighten the mood so she doesn't feel uncomfortable. After about 5 minutes, he said, "Can you shut your mouth for a minute? I don't want to hear your voice." His mother asked him what's wrong. All I said was, I know what's wrong with him. He stopped the car and yelled at me that since I know what's wrong, then I for sure know what an immature bitch I am for starting a discussion with no intention to communicate. Mind you, he was the one who started it and refused to lower his voice and sit down so we communicate like adults. All this time, his mother in the back seat just watching. Growing up in a house where everyone yells to prove their point, I hate raised voices, and him screaming at me for an argument we had yesterday on our way to a birthday party we're supposed to enjoy made me lose it and snapped at him. "Can you stop fucking screaming? Can't we talk about this when we're back home?" He grabbed my face and told me to never talk to him this way, especially in front of his mother. To this moment, she said nothing. His grip on my jaw kept getting worse with every word. He did this before, but never used this much force. So to take his hand off me, I tried to grab his wrist and push, but ended up scratching him a little. I swear to God I didn't mean to. I just couldn't bear the pain and wanted him to let go. His mother suddenly decided to use her voice and started yelling at me for hurting him and got out of the car and went to his side to check his wrist. I wanted to check his wrist too, but was afraid of him losing it even more. He brushed it off and told his mom it was nothing and started the car again. Back home, he went straight to the guest room. I decided to spend the next night at my parents' house to decide what to do. My mother and his are friends. Anyway, I didn't say anything, but they told me later that night that his mother visited in the morning and told them about the fight. The thing is, she told them we had an argument without mentioning how he started it, and wouldn't stop with all the screaming and how he grabbed my face and only told them about me scratching him. Now my family is lecturing me about how I should respect him and consider starting counseling. By family, I mean my mother and little brother. My dad didn't say anything. I tell them how it went and try to show them the bruise on my jaw, and they wouldn't listen because his mother can't possibly lie to them and the boy they watched growing up can't be this bad. But the daughter they raised can lie and be this bad? For God's sake, they know how I don't tolerate raised voices and avoid heated arguments at any cost, but none listen to me now except for my big brother, whose him and my soon-to-be ex are close friends. What hurt me is, instead of at least comforting me, they are taking his side while they saw him raise his voice before and call his coworker names. Is it because my little brother brought his girlfriend home and they gave her my room so she can be close to college, and scared that if I break up with him, I would come back to stay with them and ruin everything? I have a stable job and can take care of myself just good. I want to go back to break up with him and pack my things, but can't even look him in the eye now for what he made me go through. He called and texted, but like I said, I don't even want to hear his voice. He apologized for what he did in a few texts. I'm thinking about showing them to my family, but I feel sad I need to do that so they support me emotionally. All my things are there, and I never did this before because he's my first everything. I'm mad that his mother lied for him while my family didn't even listen to me. I'm thinking fuck them all except my big brother. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk, but please leave him. This is how it starts. He hurts you, then he says he's sorry, and it happens again. Also, take screenshots of the messages he sent you, if only for evidence in case the situation worsens. Then, find a safe place to move out to, and send those screenshots to everyone. Send them to his family, your family, and let them know how hurt you are that they supported an hurtful partner over you. Then block them, and move on to live your life with someone who deserves you. Trust and believe that real men don't feel the need to get violent with their partner, and real women don't either. But in this case, your partner is a man. Comment 2. This is so sad to read because I feel that every woman can relate at least a little. He's a failure of a man, and every relative involved is a failure as well. Ask your big brother to help you get your stuff, or ask a friend for assistance. Get your own place and then send a group text with the screenshots of his texts. Let them know that you're going to distance yourself a little because you have to deal with trauma and you need supportive people around you. Make sure they know how messed up their biased minds are. They didn't even trust you when you tried to show them your bruise. Wow. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post and for all your support. It means a lot to me during this difficult time. A week has passed since the incident with my partner and his mother, and things have only gotten worse. I decided to go back to our shared apartment to pack my things and officially break up with him. When I arrived, he was there waiting for me. He started apologizing profusely, saying he didn't mean to hurt me and that he loves me. I told him that his actions were unacceptable and that I couldn't be with someone who treats me like that. That's when he dropped a surprise on me. He told me that he had been seeing a fertility specialist behind my back and that he found out he has a low sperm count. He said he was scared to tell me, and that's why he had been so on edge lately. I was shocked and hurt that he had kept something so important from me. I didn't know what to do. On one hand, I felt betrayed that he had gone to a doctor without telling me. We had been trying to have a baby for months, and he knew how much it meant to me. On the other hand, I could see how much he was hurting and how scared he was to lose me. I decided to hear him out and let him explain. He told me that he had always wanted to be a father and that he was terrified that his low sperm count would prevent that from happening. He said he didn't tell me because he didn't want to disappoint me or make me feel like it was my fault. As he was talking, I couldn't help but think back to our early days together. We had always talked about having a family someday, and I remembered how excited he was when we first started trying. I realized that his desire to have a child was just as strong as mine, if not stronger. But then I thought about the way he had treated me in the car that day, the way he had grabbed my face and screamed at me in front of his mother. I knew that no matter how much he wanted a child, it didn't excuse his behavior. I told him that I needed time to think, and that I was still planning on staying with my parents for a while. He begged me not to go, but I knew I needed space to process everything that had happened. As I was packing my things, I found an old photo album from when we first started dating. I flipped through the pages and saw pictures of us laughing and smiling together. I remembered how happy we were back then, and how much we loved each other. But then I came across a picture of us at his sister's wedding. In the photo, he had his arm around me, but I could see the tension in his jaw and the anger in his eyes. I realized that this wasn't the first time he had shown signs of aggression towards me. I thought back to all the times he had yelled at me or called me names. I had always brushed it off as him being stressed or tired, but now I could see that it was a pattern of behavior. I knew that I couldn't stay with him, no matter how much I loved him. I deserved to be with someone who treated me with respect and kindness, not someone who would grab my face and scream at me in front of his mother. As I was leaving the apartment, I ran into his mother in the hallway. She tried to stop me and tell me that I was making a mistake, but I brushed past her. I knew that she would always take his side no matter what he did. I'm now back at my parents' house, trying to figure out what to do next. My big brother has been a huge support, but the rest of my family still doesn't fully understand what I'm going through. I know that breaking up with my partner was the right decision, but it doesn't make it any easier. We had been together for so long, and I had always imagined spending the rest of my life with him. But I also know that I deserve better. I deserve to be with someone who respects me and treats me with kindness and love. And even though it hurts right now, I know that I will find that person someday. Thanks again for all your support and for listening to my story. It helps to know that I'm not alone in this. Ida for not taking my stepdaughter to a concert after she insulted me and woke the baby. I have been with my husband for 7 years, and I gave birth to our baby 4 months ago. I also have a stepdaughter, Anaya, who is 13. Anaya and I get along for the most part, but as she gets older, the typical entitled teenager attitude is getting fierce. However, 2 years back, she started personally attacking people when she doesn't get her way, and the disrespect is getting severe in these moments. Last week, she asked me if I would bring her to a local concert this afternoon at 2 p.m. It's a small town, and the band in question is 4 high schoolers in the area. They're actually really good. They often play at the local church and have done the school talent show a few times, but this was their first actual gig. I said I could, and she had intended to meet up with her group of friends. 2 nights ago, however, she started in with her list of demands. Like she expected me to just drop her off, not happening, as this is an open to the public event. Or she expected me to get her there a couple hours early so she could hang out with her friends before the concert. I told her that wasn't happening either because I have the baby and getting her there early would cut into the baby's nap time. She was pissed but didn't say anything. Well, at 12 o'clock, she started harping on me about when we were leaving. I told her that I would get her there a half hour early, which meant we still had over an hour. The concert is 10 minutes away. She starts harping on me to just bring her there now, but I said no. She slams off to her room. She comes out about 10 minutes later, fully dressed, and stood by the door with her arms crossed and a scowl on her face. I told her again that we weren't leaving right now, and she ignored me. So I decided to get myself something to eat because the baby was finally sleeping. I settled on crackers, but they didn't taste right. My taste buds are still screwed up and went to make myself a sandwich. Anaya instantly got even more pissed. She's like, "You can't just eat it in the car?" I told her no. She then says, "It's not like you even need it anyways. You're just trying to make me mad at this point." It's not the first time she's commented on my weight. So not only did her words sting, but she managed to wake the baby. So I looked at her and said, "You're not going, go to your room now." She started in with the protests and I just pointed down the hall. She slams off to her room crying. Well, my husband just called and asked me why I'm not bringing Anaya to the concert after I said I would. And I told him it was because she told me that I didn't even need the food. She was calling me fat and woke up the baby. So no, I'm done with the disrespect and I'm not bringing her. He's telling me the punishment doesn't match the crime, and I basically said, tough shoot. If he wants her to go, he can come bring her, but I'm not dealing with her after that. Am I the idiot? ETA. Dropping her off to be by herself or bringing her earlier than a half hour, as I specified multiple times, wouldn't be an option. Her dad has made it clear that she was not to be dropped off and without an adult because just 2 months ago, she was dropped off early at a school dance, and she left with her group of friends and got caught smoking pot. Her dad has made it clear she is not to be without parental supervision for the foreseeable future because of that incident. And again, I wasn't cutting into the baby's nap time to bring her one, 2 hours early to this concert, like she wanted me to. I was doing her a favor by even offering to bring her a half hour early. She was stomping her foot by the door and making comments an hour before the concert even opened its doors. So an hour and 20 minutes before the concert started, which goes against the timeline I agreed to. She was acting like this long before I even got pregnant. I'm sure some of the hostility has to do with the baby, but certainly not all of it. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. She knew what the plan was, and she was rude and tries to bully you into getting her way. She lost the privilege of going by being rude, and now hopefully she will learn. Your husband needs to have your back on this, or you will never be able to set boundaries with her. You're not wrong for your reasons for not letting her go, and she needs to learn this before she is old enough to drive and leave the house on her own. She can't act like a brat and be rude and get her way. She can also stay in her room for the whole weekend with no technology if she wants to keep being rude and trying to push you around. Comment 2. Stand your ground here. If you allow her to walk all over you and take advantage of you, she will continue to do so. More importantly, I hope you establish with your husband that he loves you enough to demand his daughter respect you and treat you accordingly. If you were my wife and someone spoke like that to you, I would rip them a new jerk. No one speaks to my wife like that. Not even my own kid. This kid is a brat. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a tense couple of weeks since then, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been going on. So after the whole concert fiasco with Anaya, things were pretty tense around the house. My husband and I had a long talk about how to handle the situation, and we agreed that Anaya needed to face some consequences for her disrespectful behavior. We decided to ground her for 2 weeks, which meant no phone, no hanging out with friends, and no extra privileges. At first, Anaya was furious. She threw a huge tantrum, screaming and crying about how unfair we were being. But we held firm, and eventually she settled down. Over the next few days, I tried to have some heart-to-heart conversations with her, hoping to get to the bottom of why she was acting out so much. It wasn't easy, but slowly, Anaya started to open up. She admitted that she'd been feeling really jealous of the baby and like she wasn't getting enough attention from her dad and me. She also confessed that she'd been struggling with some body image issues of her own, which is why she'd been making those hurtful comments about my weight. I was surprised to learn that Anaya had been dealing with these feelings for a while, even before the baby was born. Apparently, when her mom left a few years ago, Anaya had taken it really hard and had started acting out as a way to cope. My husband and I had been so focused on our own lives and the new baby that we hadn't really noticed how much Anaya was struggling. Hearing all of this made me realize that we needed to make some changes as a family. My husband and I decided to start having regular one-on-one time with Anaya, just to give her some extra attention and make her feel valued. We also found a therapist who specializes in working with teenagers, and Anaya agreed to start seeing her once a week. It wasn't an instant fix, but over the next couple of weeks, we started to see some real progress. Anaya was more respectful and helpful around the house, and she even started bonding with the baby a little bit. There were still some rough patches, of course, but overall things were definitely improving. Then, just when we thought we were out of the woods, we hit another snag. Anaya came home from school one day in tears, saying that some girls in her class had been bullying her about her weight. Apparently, they'd been making fun of her for being too skinny and had even started a rumor that she was anorexic. I was heartbroken to see Anaya so upset, and I knew we had to do something. My husband and I met with the school counselor and the principal, and they promised to address the issue with the girls who had been bullying Anaya. We also had a long talk with Anaya about body positivity and self-love, and I shared some of my own experiences with body image struggles. It was a tough conversation, but in the end, I think it brought us closer together. Anaya seemed to appreciate that I was being honest with her, and that I could relate to what she was going through. She even apologized for the hurtful things she'd said to me before, and we had a really nice moment of understanding and forgiveness. So, that's where we're at now. Things aren't perfect, but they're definitely better than they were a few weeks ago. Anaya is still seeing her therapist and working on her self-esteem, and my husband and I are making a conscious effort to give her more attention and support. We're also trying to be more mindful of our own behavior and the example we're setting for both Anaya and the baby. It's been a challenging journey, but I'm hopeful that we're on the right track. I know that raising a teenager is never easy, but I'm committed to being there for Anaya and helping her through whatever challenges come her way. And who knows, maybe one day, she and the baby will be the best of friends. Anyway, that's the update for now. Thanks for reading and for all your support. It really means a lot to me. Ida, for not wanting my future in-laws to move in with us post-retirement. My fiancé and I are getting married later this year and come from very different financial upbringings. My parents are first generation who grew up poor but put themselves through college while working full-time, learned to invest well, live frugally, and made many sacrifices to provide a wonderful life for my sister and me. They didn't want us to have a hard life like they did, and paid for us both to go to private universities so we wouldn't have to worry about student debt, etc. They were strict in some ways. Last to get cell phones, only ones in high school to not have a car, had dial-up internet way longer than most families, zero home renovations where my parents, sister, and I did the landscaping and most home maintenance. They did splurge on one nice family vacation every year, which are some of my fondest memories. I have a wonderful relationship with both of them and honestly wish they enjoyed their self-made success a bit more. My fiancé's parents, on the other hand, have always worked blue-collar jobs, which is fine, but haven't saved a dime. They're a lot younger than my parents and already talking retirement, even though they have no savings. My fiancé paid for college himself and has a good job. Together, we bring in about $350,000, and he has helped his parents immensely by paying some of their mortgage, medical bills, groceries when we visit. They never offer to pay him back, but I've seen my fiancé get stressed that when they do have a little money saved, they blow it on something stupid. They live in another state and barely leave their hometown, so I never thought this issue would even be popping up. But here we go. We're in the midst of planning our wedding and eventually getting a house within the next 2 years. We live in a H-Call area. Fiancé briefly brought up how when we look for a house, we need to find something that would accommodate his parents, because he thinks it would be best for them to live with us once they retire. This was a total shock to me. His parents aren't social, don't cook and clean, and I feel like they would just be sitting at home all day. I'm a private person and want to focus on newlywed life and building our own family and enjoying a nice life with my kids like my parents gave me. Fiancé doesn't even want to do a honeymoon. Travel is important to me because he wants to focus on saving as much as possible because he feels responsible for his parents. I love my fiancé so much, and I'm excited to marry him. But I don't want to be burdened by his parents' poor planning. Not to mention, my parents have offered to help us with a down payment. So now I feel like my parents' hard-earned money is going to be supporting 2 other adults who didn't plan right, and that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I don't want our new life to start off so stressful. We have good savings ourselves, and I'm starting to feel resentful that he has to worry about trying to support 2 adults when his energy, our money, can be going toward our own life vacations, etc. I feel like our life together will be secondary and put on hold until they eventually pass. I'm trying to be sensitive toward my fiancé because he knows this isn't ideal, but he also doesn't want his parents to end up on the street. I feel bad saying this, but I'm starting to dread wedding planning because now I'm scared to get married and have his parents' problems be my problems. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, I'm surprised that you got this far into the relationship before he dropped this bomb on you. But you need to have a very frank and honest discussion with him about what you both think your futures are going to look like. Not after the wedding, not 2 years in, but 5 to 10 to 15 years down the road. Because if he really believes that you and him will be the ones taking care of his parents for the rest of your adult life, you need to know what his expectations are. Here's the kicker with a lot of these men. They say that we have to take care of my parents, when what really happens is that you will be the one taking care of 2 elderly or heading towards elderly adults to take care of while also taking care of any children you have if you choose to have any. Right now, what he is saying to you is that he is signing you up to be a caregiver whether you want to or not, and I cannot imagine a life like that without growing resentful of him and his parents for taking advantage of your position as the DIL. If you culturally feel you have to do this, by all means go right ahead if you feel that is your duty. But if that isn't what you want, I'd make that decision before getting married. Comment 2. Not the idiot, I wouldn't want this either. They don't cook and clean, therefore you'll be the family servant. You like your privacy, but they'd be hanging around all day because they're not social, so no privacy. That would send my mental health plummeting. They've pissed away all their money, so you'll be working to pay for them to continue blowing money away on stupid things. You're not even getting a honeymoon because your fiancé is so beholden to his wastrel parents that every cent of fun money will go to supporting their lazy asses. You can probably forget vacations too, unless they tag along. Imagine having kids in this mess. Want to breastfeed in the living room or walk around airing out your sore breasts? Think again. Just imagine all the various things you want to do in your own home, all the milestones and fun things. And then place his parents in that picture. You're already feeling resentful. That resentment will increase 1,000-fold as you watch the best years of your lives get dragged down by 2 irresponsible adults up in your business all day, every day. Girl, run. You are not compatible. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post about my concerns with my fiancé's parents and our future together. It's been a month since I last shared, and a lot has happened. After my initial post, my fiancé and I had a long, honest conversation about our expectations for the future. He opened up about the guilt he feels for his parents' financial situation and how he believes it's his responsibility to take care of them. I expressed my concerns about the impact this could have on our newlywed life and our own family's future. It was a difficult conversation, but we both agreed that we needed to find a compromise. We decided to continue saving for our own house, but instead of having his parents live with us, we would help them find an affordable apartment nearby. This way, they would still be close, and we could support them without sacrificing our privacy and independence. My fiancé also agreed to set some boundaries with his parents regarding their spending habits and to encourage them to start saving for retirement. However, things took an unexpected turn when my fiancé's father had a severe heart attack. He was rushed to the hospital and we spent several days by his bedside, not knowing if he would pull through. During this time, my fiancé's mother confided in me about their financial struggles and how they had been hiding the extent of their debt from my fiancé. She broke down, expressing her shame and fear for the future. Thankfully, my fiancé's father recovered, but the incident served as a wake-up call for the entire family. My fiancé's parents realized they needed to make serious changes to their lifestyle and financial habits. They agreed to work with a financial advisor and create a budget to pay off their debt and start saving for retirement. In the midst of all this, my parents surprised us by offering to pay for our entire wedding. They had been saving for this moment since I was a little girl and wanted to ensure that we could start our married life without the added stress of wedding expenses. I was overwhelmed with gratitude, but also felt guilty accepting such a generous gift, knowing my fiancé's parents' situation. My fiancé and I had another heart-to-heart and decided to accept my parents' offer, but with a twist. We would have a smaller, more intimate wedding and use the money we saved to help his parents pay off some of their debt and set up an emergency fund. My parents were touched by our decision and proud of our maturity in handling this situation. As the month drew to a close, we finally started to feel like we were on the same page and working towards a common goal. My fiancé's parents are taking steps to improve their financial situation, and we are learning to communicate better and support each other through life's challenges. Looking back, I realize that my fiancé's love and dedication to his family are some of the qualities I admire most about him. While it hasn't been easy, I know that together we can face any obstacle that comes our way. Thank you for reading and for all your support and advice. I'll keep you updated on our journey. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.